Hi, I'm Bernie and I'm a compulsive gambler. My last bet, November 21st, 2007. My first meeting of Gamblers Anonymous, November 21st, 2007. That transpired as follows. I had gotten notice from my employer weeks before that I was going to be losing my job pending an investigation over 3 days. The only way for me to save my job was to go and talk to somebody, and that guidance was given to me by my manager because he knew that it was not something where I should lose my job. So I went, I did that, and in the process was transferred to a different store and was able to keep my job. However, as that finished up, the depression that had dogged me for years finally caught up with me, and I was admitted to the adult psych unit for 10 days for suicidal depression. During that time, I was diagnosed with what they claimed is bipolar. That's since been changed to major depression. And when I came out, I finally realized I had a problem. So I went to the meetings. I listened to the stories. Afterwards, I said, I'm not that bad, even though I passed the test and answered 14 of 20 questions with a yes. When I left out of there saying I wasn't so bad, I went down to a Speedway gas station, bought what my problem was, which was scratch off tickets. I bought myself a $1 scratch off ticket, and proceeded to realize I had a problem. That's when it became clear that I could not continue. The losses are great. I ended up divorced. I lost for quite some time the respect of my two sons, who are adult children. And over time, I've learned a lot of things. The focus I've had has been to work on a book which is now out there called How to Win as a High Roller While Losing Your Shirt. I also decided I would try to start Standtallrecoveryservices, which would be focused on speaking to people about compulsive gambling, what it is, how it comes about, the fact that it's hidden, what the real story is behind it, and try to help not only the compulsive gambler, but the family, the friends, the children in particular, as well as those who are associated with them. In my process of recovery, I actually wrote a letter to those who I didn't even know, letting them know that I apologize for the potential that I may have put somebody else on the same path I was on. And when you're in the gambling, there are people that say you can just quit. The question is, when you go to a restaurant, do you go there, get one fry, and walk out when you're going to a nice sit-down restaurant with family or friends? You don't. You go in, you order your meal from a nice waiter or waitress, and then you sit there and enjoy the environment that you're in, the people you're with, and the food. And sometimes you take a doggy bag home, but most of the time you're there to eat that whole meal, not just one aspect of it, one little piece of it. With compulsive gamblers, that's the same thing. They aren't going there for one bet. They aren't going there about the money when it really comes down to it. Now they'll say they're wanting to win, but and they do for the recognition, but not really for the money aspect of it, because they'll say they broke even because they came out with the same amount of money as they had when they came in. Now that brings me to a thought. If you are hired for a job for 2 months, short-term job, and you walk in starting that job with $2 in your pocket, at the end of that month, 2 months that you work in the job, you come out, you have $2 in your pocket. You've received no paychecks or anything. With the perspective of the compulsive gambler, that's breaking even. And yet they did all this work and they got nothing financial out of it that helped provide for family or friends or for the needs they have. In that respect, it's odd that somebody would say they broke even. Consider they've gone to the casino, they've gone to them more than once, and they come out with $2 this time, or they come out with $10 this time, but the time before they lost 30 or 40 bucks. You'll never hear about the losses, but you'll always hear about the big wins, or they'll say they broke even. And if you really think about it, about what it's like, if you think about what it would be like if you had a job for 2 months and you didn't get paid a penny for it, and you didn't get provided anything extra, you had what you had when you started, exactly the same as when you left. That wouldn't be breaking even, now would it? The focus that I have is this. I've done some speaking for a organization that promotes the recovery of compulsive gambling and helps train those who are going to counsel compulsive gamblers, and it's gone over rather well. What I want to do is I want to offer to you the opportunity to allow me to share my story with others who want to understand it, who may want to hear something of that nature. I can share from a spiritual aspect. I can share from a purely psychology and social work aspect, and I can share from a personal aspect. When you put the whole package together, for me, it's really interesting that there's a psychology to it, and that your mind works to look for the good and for the patterns and for this and that and the other. So they'll work on finding a way to win. They'll work on finding these different little patterns, but they don't always look for the bad. The pattern of, well, I go, I lose, I come back scared, upset. They don't realize, you don't often realize the connection between a casino opening up in your neighborhood, which back during the recession period, during a recession period recently, there was one that opened up. They had an interview there with somebody high up in the system, and they said there's no recession here. Yet, if you look at it, the foreclosure rate went up. There were a lot of things that probably were affected by the gambling, because people in a recession, people will try to win things. The other thing to look at is they just had a Mega Millions that was 600 and some odd $1 million, almost $1 billion, and there were 2 winners. And I heard last night that one of the 2 winners took the lump sum, and if you do the math of what half of 600 and some odd million is, it would be more than 100 and some odd million that you get back. But the person got 184 million back. So the difference between the 184 million and the amount that actually would be half is the taxes and the services and all the fees that go along with it. Consider, is that really winning? You've probably spent $1 regularly or $10 regularly on that, and think of all the people that put that money in and won nothing. Consider what the effects are of that.